All right. Okay, well, I'd like to officially welcome everyone to New Year, New Brain, building your personal intelligence system for 2026. My name is Shelley Haydock, and I'm co-hosting today's adventure with Matt Caton, our Director of Customer Solutions.
Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. As we've mentioned, we're going to be jumping in and out of 14 with a preview of the Brain 15 today, which we're very, very excited about. And we welcome your feedback. And also, we can't pick one particular topic that is of interest to everyone today. So if you have a particular topic, subject matter, throw us a curveball, write it into the Q&A, question and answer panel, and maybe we'll select your topic for what we demo in the Brain 15 today.
Yes, because we're going to put Matt in the hot seat so he can. Well, it's actually the AI that will probably do most of it.
AI's in the hot seat. That's right.
Okay, so I'm actually for those of you that are kind of new to the brain, we have about 50-50 users right now. We are in the midst of a very hot product release, the Brain 15. Our official release is still 14 because obviously it is beta software and we're working through some things. So I'm going to go ahead and start in 14 just to give you the theory and the framework, which of course transcends any version of the software on how to create that adaptive thought network to sort of thrive, to not just visualize goals, but make these goals happen for you for 2026. And then we're going to pivot to the new versions, which have some great features like card view to see more of a timeline of your information and new scripts through AI to even build that brain further. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and get started in the Brain 14. And I just want to talk a little bit about goal-directed thinking since we are in the new year. So mindset matters. And one of the great things about the brain is your whole perspective, the theory and your vision for what you want to achieve is overlaid on top of all the information. And rather than switching between different applications and files, your ideas are going to transcend and that document that need transcends wherever they happen to be. So with that, in any personal productivity system, you actually want to focus on your goals and principles for outcome directed thinking. So just a little bit on that to help you get started in terms of your brain. Obviously, you can just import a bunch of folders and aggregate all your information. And we've got the advanced search and, of course, the AI to build on. But beyond that, with your own thought process, goal-directed thinking can really help you get started. So what I like to tell people to do, especially again, January Q1, we're in a new year here, is start by defining your success. So if my project goes well, what should it look like? A couple thoughts or areas on that. What is our definition of success as a team? Because obviously this can be a singular brain, a personal brain, or a team brain. Target metrics. This is a great place to drag and drop any of your dashboards or your reporting tools so that you're monitoring success and knowing, defining what that success can be. And then number two, I actually like to, of course, we can call these many different things, obstacles, challenges, what things are standing in our way that we have to overcome to meet our goals. So we work with a lot of startups, a lot of companies who are trying to secure funding. So it could be financial constraints. It could be constraints in terms of special needs. If you're a teacher working with different diverse children in a classroom, it could be, a particular contractor you're working with in terms of a building renovation. So this area is actually very important. Not to get bogged down in what you can achieve, but to actually be realistic about what challenges you're going to face them and visualize and meet them in your brain. And then, of course, that all kind of grows under the umbrella of project management. So we can do that in many different ways. We have many different, you can visualize the steps, like for instance, David Allen's Getting Things Done natural planning model, where you define purpose, mission, do some brainstorming. You can define your projects that way. We will actually show you a bit more on project planning and some other brains, but that's obviously key. And as your projects grow, I particularly love a section on references and inspiration. So if you're designing something, all those beautiful designs, screenshots from maybe a website of you like of another company or design references can all be added in the brain. You can do that with the zoomable icons, web links, and it's a really nice area to kind of look at what is meaningful to you and what inspires you in your brain. And then alliances. This is also a great area in terms of this might be a people map if you're in a large organization of your team, connecting those people to your organizations. It could be industry associations. It could be um, also, if you're a student, it could be just people that you're studying on under mentors or even philosophers that are influencing your work. So I like to kind of have an area dedicated to people and these people that inspire, whether they're an author or they're a person you're working with. Alliances can be a particularly effective area that gives you a lot more productivity and power as you build your brain. And then finally, when that project is done, outcomes and lesson learned, because there's no limit to the number of thoughts and ideas you can have in your brain. That area can really be important for you to go and look back so that you can, once your project's done, it can be archived in a lesson learned area. And that's sort of how you create this mindset within a brain over top of all your information. And now I'm just going to go ahead and go into my 2026 Command Center here. Another way to look at this in terms of kind of mastering the complexity is to think about your brain as an information processing hub. So that can be step one, where you've got maybe a thought on Meeting Central, all your meetings that you're working on, whether they're new product design, a sales meeting, that kind of thing. That can all happen where you're sort of organizing what needs to be done. You also want to make sure you have all those critical documents, and we're going to show you how to move information, link to information in the brain. And then, of course, you want to do things like have your morning review, your task lists, which can be done in the Plex or in the notes area, and we can cover that. So that's sort of step one to building that information command center. And I'm happy to share this brain and these steps with you. Project mission control. We talked a little bit about projects. So this is where you might have all your different projects laid out, whether that's a new company brochure, a website. And one of the nice things about the brain is you can tag, type, and have this piece of information located under multiple areas. You can see that this is a thought type it's appearing in orange, and that's a critical project for me. And I've also got my projects organized by type. So if I'm looking at all my different tags, or I want to see everything that's tagged as low cost in this brain, in this case, it's just this one project, I can do that. So I can really look at my information and slice and dice things from a number of ways. And Strategic Planning Center, this is the area where you might want to have your industry watch. So if you're looking at different competitors, you can map all that out in the brain. Your quarterly milestones, your annual objectives, building out that strategic view in your brain to actually help you with an overall sense of how the projects fit together can be really nice. And then, of course, what we're really doing is we're talking about knowledge synthesis, where you're taking your ideas, learning and growing with them. So, I like to tell people to create like an innovation idea bank. So that could be stuff that you're looking at. Maybe it's usability trends, and that relates to design meetings or future trends. And I've got a whole section on that and how it fits together. These are different ways to really build your brain and build topics that grow and expand your own thinking and understanding. And in this particular brain on contingency management, I've kind of done a lot of that. So I'll go into a couple example projects here. So my 2026 goals are refinancing. I've got some personal information and a new corporate website. So from here, I've got some different topics. Now, some of these topics I've actually built myself, and other topics I've built through AI. So if I want to come in here and add a little bit more on AI, I can just click on the AI button. And now this is version 14, so we're going to pivot a bit because again, I know we're on the 50-50 front here. This is how AI works in 14. We will also get to how it's working in 15. So if I actually just want to build a couple more categories on my front end development, obviously I can create new thoughts, but in this case, I just click the AI button and I'm going to generate a thought structure. So you can see that that's being built. I can also go ahead and add a note on my front end project, and I can also go ahead and use create an AI note as well. So there's a lot that can be done with the AI in 14, and then we can also do a little bit more in 15. Now, if I go back to this particular brain, you can see the view of this information in terms of my business projects. And this is our Plex view. Now, this view will be very helpful for giving you an overview. We do have some new views in version 15 that will also be very relevant. And let me just go ahead and close this here. And I'm just going to go ahead and kick things off because I see the Q&A is heating up with 15 and open up the same brain in 15. So this is my adaptive thought network in the Brain 15. In terms of using both versions of the software, one thing that's very nice is both versions utilize the same database, so my information is already in sync. And you can see the Plex view here. And you'll also notice a different UI, and I'm probably going to pass presenter to Matt in a second, but I do also want to show you before I do that our new card view, which is very nice in terms of looking at stuff from a chronological perspective. So I can kind of see what I've done on what day and go and activate stuff based on that. So this particular view is time-based. So as you're looking at, what I've done today, mobile optimization, what I've just created, I can come into this view and get that overview. And I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass presenter over to you. There is one other brain I want to show you before I do that, and that is the Personal Intelligence 2026 brain. Now, this particular brain, I actually built completely with AI prompts with our new AI, Agentic AI system. I actually did not create a single thought in this brain manually, and I actually use some of our new learning modules. So the way AI works now is you actually have the ability to chat with the AI and build your structure and revise it. And so with that, I think that's a good overview. And I don't know if the QA is lighting up in terms of which version, but I think I'm going to pass it over to you, Matt, to get started in 15.
So here we are in the Brain 15, and I really want to start off by sharing with you a couple of details, important details that we need to share. And sorry, is my camera on? Let me turn my camera on as well. A couple of important details
Yeah.
to share. Shelley mentioned some of these, but in case you didn't catch it, version 15 is available. It's in beta right now. If you go to our website, www.thebrain.com, on the download page, you'll have the option to download 14, our current stable release version of the Brain 14, or the Brain 15, which is in beta. You can install both. You saw Shelley jump from 14, she closed 14, opened up the exact same brain in version 15. The only time you won't be able to do that is if you use a new feature in the Brain 15, which is actually fantastic. We actually call it Light Sync. And what Light Sync does is if you turn Light Sync on, everything in your brain will be synced to the cloud. But if you download this brain to another device, let's say I have a copy of this same brain database, I'm syncing it to my Mac. I don't download every single file attachment onto my Mac. It's on demand. So if I say, yes, I do need this PDF while I'm on my Mac to review, then you can launch it, it'll download it, great, but it's that light sync. So you'll have a lighter version on other devices of that brain that you synced. Everything is available on the cloud. When you're on 14, if light sync is turned on, you'll see a message that says, hey, you've got to go back to 15, turn off light sync. Everything will get synced and get adjusted. You can go back to 14 and open that brain. Any questions along those lines, send us a note, support at thebrain.com, and we'll walk you through it step by step. But that's actually a really great feature in the Brain 15, that ability to light sync attachments if you jump around between multiple different devices.
Yeah, so in
Um,
other words, if you are using both 14 and 15,
mhm.
like we have to for different clients, and you might be in a situation where you're using, the official version at the office, but then you're on 15 at home, just shut Light Sync off.
That's right.
Once,
And you,
once
yeah,
we're on 15, you don't have to worry about that. That's
yeah,
all. It's
exactly.
just if you want to go forward and backward
Yeah.
compatible,
And as you can
that's
see, I
it.
have it turned
But
off. So if someone says, hey, what does that look like in the Brain 14? Not a problem. I can close 15, roll back to 14, and open this brain since Light Sync is not turned on. So it's a great, great new feature of the many that are in the Brain 15. So I want to stay on topic now and talk a little bit about, creating your command center. And since we jumped to 15, we're just going to stay. I don't think we wanted to show Shelly and I this much 15 at this point, but
well,
the
there were
the
so many questions
barn
coming
doors
in.
are
I'm
open.
like,
Let's
what?
go.
Like, okay. By the way, we should, and we can pivot back to
Of
14 for some
course. Yeah.
other stuff. So we
Yeah.
can jump back and forth, and I'm happy to take the ball back too and have
Of
my
course.
14
Of
ready
course.
if necessary. And also, just to point out, you can see I was in light mode, which
Hmm.
had that lighter feeling, and Matt's in dark mode. So that's something else in terms of the overall aesthetic that can really be adjusted in 15.
Absolutely. And this is a sample brain that I have that I'm going to be sharing today. And let's say I have an upcoming project. I'm going to navigate through this brain a little bit. I'm going to go down into travel and check out US travel, national parks. So this brain has a lot of information in it. It's like I said, just a sample brain. It's actually built out of several other brains that I've created and combined. And let's say I am interested in doing something at, we'll just stay at the top, Arches National Park, and I have an upcoming case study. So we're talking today about building a command center for 2026. And that's really, people put the brain in a lot of different categories. And when I first heard Shelley use the term command center, I thought, man, that's really it. It's not just a note-taking app. It is an amazing note-taking app, but it's not just that. It doesn't just collect and store your data. It's the command center where you can access, build, grow, and learn from your own data over time as your digital brain continues to grow. And your digital brain never forgets. So you can always rely on what your organic brain learned in the past. It's always there at your fingertips, available for you in the future. So here I am on a new project that I have coming up with a group from my local college. It's an on-site study at Arches National Park. And let's just really quickly start building up some of the upcoming events that are going to be taking place for this particular project. So I've made my brain a little smaller just so I can access a couple of key documents that I already have. Let's start with that. I'm going to click and drag and create a new child thought. So this child thought is going to be called my March event. It's going to be an on-site study going with a class in March. And I already have some existing documents that for this March event, I'm going to need quick and easy access to. So all I need to do is simply click and drag to bring them right down into the brain. You Brain 14 users might notice right away, we didn't have this. This is another sort of sneak peek feature. The brain is letting you know, heads up, this is where I'm going to attach this content. So I may simply made this a child thought, and clicking on that will open up that. This is a PDF, so it opens up in the content area. I've got easy access to this trail map for Arches National Park. And I have another file up here that I want to drag and drop and create a child thought as well. This is sort of tips for camping and areas to camp in Moab. So another really, really great resource that I'm going to refer back to in some upcoming planning meetings with my group. And I have easy access to those documents. But I also have some web pages that are important to me as well. And this is something that I really like to drive home, particularly in Brain 101 classes, newcomers to the brain that are understanding the value of the software. And it's bringing together that command center. All your disparate information sources are at your fingertips. Without the brain, where would you save a web page? Maybe in your browser bookmarks and favorites. And now it's completely disassociated from notes that you have about that web page, products that you purchased there, or the login credentials for that website are stored in a document in a completely separate directory. So here, once again, we can simply drag and drop. I've got a web page, really important to me. I'm just sort of, it's a webcam checking the traffic, entering the park. I'm going to keep an eye on this over the next couple of days to see when the best time to show up is. I simply drag and drop the icon right into the brain, and I've blocked the area. So not a problem. I'm going to drop it as a child thought. I blocked the area where I wanted to connect it. And let me come back to that thought. On-site study. There I am. And my March event. And I'll just make this a little bit larger. And now I can drag and drop right into the child thought area. That's where I want that page to go. Or if I want to grab this entrance station, again, just simply drag and drop. So I've got easy access to that in the future. Now, as you can see, it's not creating that thought. That's why the Brain 15 is in beta. It should be creating that as a child thought, and unfortunately, it's not. So I'm just going to copy this. Then I'm going to pivot and create a thought called webcam. And on webcam, I'll select to attach a URL. Do I have that URL pasted? There it is, webcam. So I've got that loaded up. And again, that's going to load up right there in my in the Brain's built-in browser. So, and obviously we will fix that so you can drag and drop web pages into the Brain. Beta software, there it is. So I've dragged and dropped a couple of documents in. I can also start creating my own notes. As I mentioned, the Brain is an amazing note-taking application. Notes are formatted in Markdown. So for my March event, I want to have an outline of the event. I'm going to keep track of our goals. And under goals, I'll have maybe some checklists. So I dash space. I love checklists in the Brain. Introduction to geology, etc. So I'm not going to go through all the different steps of each item. The next steps are going to be conclusions, etc. And these, I'm going to format this a little bit differently. I just want to share with you really quickly. I'm making this heading 2. I'll make my goals heading 2 as well, and my conclusions. I'm not going to spend all day in the notes. The notes are one of my favorite features of the Brain. Please sign up for a Brain 101 class in the future, and we really dive into all the great things you can do in notes. But as this note grows and evolves, as you can see, I can also minimize and close out these different categories. If I go to team hypothesis, where I already have, oh, I don't have content there, previous study locations. I've got a little bit of content here, but as you can see, as I read through them, I can collapse and expand different areas of my notes to focus on those different areas. Again, just a really, really great utility to rely on, keeping track during meetings and so forth. I can copy and paste content and graphics and so forth right there. And in fact, in this case study, you can see this case study has a couple of reminders for me for upcoming meetings. I've got graphics, I've got all my documents and information at my fingertips. And anything related to this on-site study going on for March events, June events, and so forth are all going to be their own thought with their own groupings of content. And now comes the fun part. We are going to jump now into some of the great new features in the Brain 15. Shelly showed us the card view. I really love card view. Again, like she mentioned for the timeline, but I also want to share with you if you do jump over to card view, so you can see today, these are the recent thoughts that I've looked at. Shelly was actually viewing her card view. She just wanted to specifically know what thought was recently activated and when. And that is in the minimal view. So I just see a grouping of thought names. Today, these thoughts were modified. Back in December, these thoughts were modified. And I can scroll through to find out individual thoughts and where I'm focusing my efforts in my brain. But you can also go into the standard view, and the standard view gives you a little bit more data, sort of like the first paragraph of every thought, if it does have some content. And we can even jump up to the full view. So the full note of every thought in a timeline of when it was modified is easily available for me. And if I want to do a little bit more research on that thought, I can click and go to that thought in the content area and jump back to the Plex view at any time. So that's our new card view that is available in the Brain 15. Also, and it was a topic that we said we were going to discuss today, and one that I saw a whole bunch of, the AI integration. The AI integration has really, really grown in the Brain 15 and has become just an amazing agentic AI where you can have conversations with AI, Cerebros, we're calling it, about your existing data, adding new data. It can help you better understand the application. You can tell it to create thoughts, create notes, but let's not just talk about it. Let's actually do it. I'm going to go back to my March event. And let's say one of the documents that doesn't exist for me, since I'm taking students with me to my geology study, is the parent waiver. This parent waiver doesn't exist yet. So I'm going to click on the AI button. And this is another feature that I'd like to point out. Notice I have a toolbar on the side of the brain. On the side, a few buttons here on the right and more on the left, all highly customizable in the brain. We'll get to that in just a moment. But here's where I keep my AI button. And um, like we said, it is agentic AI. It's actually going to be conversational with you. It's going to adapt to the types of things that you ask it to do. And so for starters, I'm going to say, please create a parent waiver for high school student parents to sign for a geology study. I'll say for a 4-day geology study to Arches National Park. There we go. So first, I just asked it. I wasn't specific. I said, create this waiver. And here we go. It's creating a really nice waiver for me with dates, locations, times, emergency contacts, things that I hadn't even thought of yet. Acknowledgements of risk. Yes, it's asking, it's letting the parent know of, questions that are going to come up, before they happen. No way could I have thought of this in any decent time frame. It would take me a lot of research. It created it for me. But notice at the very bottom, it finishes the document for me. I can tell it now, put this on the note. This is perfect. but it's asking a follow-up question. If you tell me the state or school district, I can tighten the language to better match common regional requirements. All right, I'm not going to get into that. No, just add this as a note. I can then export the note to a PDF. Um, at a later time, or I could ask Agentic AI to do that for me. So great, it's taking that content, adding it onto the note for the parent waiver, and then here's the export button. I'll export this to a PDF when the time comes after I review it and maybe make a few modifications in the future. So that's my first little peek at AI. That's fantastic.
And
There,
Matt,
added that.
I've got your
Mhm.
topic ready to go. We're going to
Oh,
use
good, because
John
I think I
Dale's. I'm going
had
to put you
one.
on the spot. Oh, I'm putting
Let's
you
see
on
if
the
we have the
spot.
same one. Go ahead. Because
Okay. Well, I
yeah,
mean, obviously we can do many. We can do it's so fast, but John Dale had a nice topic about sciences, biology, and genetics. So I
I
thought
was
that
right
would
there
give.
as well. That's good.
Okay.
I saw that one. I saw a couple of people wrote in, photography came up,
Okay.
biology and science
Okay.
was
So we
one.
got to use the name. Let's make sure we're getting a real user. So we'll do John Dale's and then we'll do photography. Let me scroll through. And if you guys want to put a few in, we're going to put you in the hot seat and we're just going to
All
create
right.
brains from scratch.
I'm actually going to add it. Well, I won't add it to this brain. I'll do a
No,
new brain,
no.
sure.
Carpe diem.
So
Let's go. Let's
I'll
do a new
just,
brain.
yeah, file, new brain, and we'll call this biology.
And the reason I want to share this with you is because it's so, a lot of new users kind of don't know where to get started. The new version of AI, you can really have a very vague idea of what you need to do, and the AI will help you build and give you suggestions and guide you through that process. So I guess the difference between 14 and 15 is quite significant in that the AI will be working directly with you and asking you if this is what you want, and you have a lot more review ability as well. So with
Okay,
that,
that's how I'm choosing to start it out. I've created
okay.
my new thought for life classifications. And as you can see, it's building as we go. I simply said, can you create a structure for thoughts classifying all living things and start with plants, fungi. And it went a little further. It added bacteria for me and so forth. But here, this is fantastic. Once again, it follows up with a couple of questions. Do you want to build out major phyla divisions under each or create a parallel modern taxonomy? Actually, I like this idea, build a major. So I'll just answer. Let's go with building major phyla divisions. Oops, divisions under each. Start with animals
Mammals?
for now.
It doesn't matter. It will do it for you. And by the way, Jim was asking, as you can see at the bottom, we are on ChatGPT 5.1. There is a little icon there where you can, for now, that's go with other models. And we also have the anthropic models that will be forthcoming for you as well. Those we're developing on Claude Sonnet and so forth, and working on some other stuff. So you're actually getting a lot of features of the top AI providers embedded within your brain, using the best to build that and taking all that natural language technology and putting that in the brain for you.
Yeah. And so now, as you can see, it built some information for me and continued asking me, do you want to keep going? And it gave me a one, two, or three. So I just said one. Let's go deeper under core data. And under core data, under vertebrates, this is what it wants to add. Where would you like to go deeper next? And I'll say A. So it's really building this all for me. Now it's not just building thoughts. I can. Yep, creating those nine thoughts. Now I can start adding additional context. let's talk about thought types and tags. The question came up, what's the difference between thought types and tags? And Shelley showed a nice example of different thought types. Thought tags, the huge, I think, big differentiator between types and tags is number one, you can only create one thought type per thought, but it can have multiple tags. And that's something to keep in mind in the future. If we jump back into my journey brain, you can see I can type things as being urgent. This is going to be an expensive component for this project that I'm working on. But those are different types of, and Shelly is going to be managing it. Those are different types of tags. But the thought type itself is active project or something of that nature. In this case, let's actually go down to like focus inside specific roots. Yes, let's go to here. I'm just going to say, did you create the primates thought yet? Yeet yet? I think it did. Yes, primates. Okay, so I'm going to click and go to primates. Yes, it did. Major primate groups. Actually, let's say if do you have any thought tags to suggest for this area? Um, Wow. It gave me all kind. So depending on how detailed I want to be, it's giving me many different options because tags is a very unique thing to you as an individual, how you tag your information. And that's why we don't have a lot of brains or, here's one brain with all the different types of tags you can have. Tags are unique to how you classify or explain your information. So here you can say, all right, are you looking for tags by concept? So taxonomy, evolution, anatomy, and so forth. By scope, by usage, definition, clean, short, definitions, and so forth. Or a minimal starter set. I like the minimal starter set. Starter set, please. So it's going to create those thought tags for me so I can start tagging things when I create a document on an animal's behavior or anatomy or so forth. I can actually tag that when I'm studying that particular item. And notice primates has all of these tags. So great. I can go through and start removing tags that aren't necessary and so forth. And I can ask the brain, to do that for me, to clean that up and so forth. So there's just a wonderful array. And, we always, I set these demos up from time to time and I do a couple of practice rounds to see what AI is going to ask me. It's not always the same. I get live on a demo, and that's why we said today, go ahead and you give us the topic because it takes you in a new direction every time that you can experiment with. The types of follow-up questions that it provides, and you see, how expansive the conversation is that you can get into with your AI. In fact, I'm going to go back to my journey, and I'm going to start a new chat, and I'm going to say, do I have any thoughts or information in this brain on national grasslands. So again, this is a very, very large brain, and it's finding everything anytime I've mentioned. And you can see I have about a small handful of thoughts on national grasslands that I forgot that I had created in this brain. So it can actually parse through your information, find that content and data for you, and then say, hey, it's going to follow up. Do you want me to help you build a structure? And even this one, this is neat on U.S. national grasslands, regions, visits, and photography. Someone had a question about photography. We can start researching photography of national grasslands in the brain through the AI. Now, I want to share with you really quickly and so I'm just going to pick one of these Cedar River National Grassland. I did create a thought on that. It's in North Dakota. And as you can see, I've got the Wikipedia page here. So this is nice. Let's duplicate this thought. Cedar, let's say I don't have any information yet.
And Matt, while you're
Cedar,
doing
yeah.
that, I just want to jump in because we have a ton of questions about access control and permission with the new version of AI. So, a
Okay,
friendly little infomercial on privacy, which I'll brought to you by the brain, Shelley Hayduck. The way it works, which you are not seeing because Matt probably has all his permissions turned on.
that is
Every
correct.
time it's an n-tiered permission structure. So every time you want to do something, in the chat for AI, it will actually ask you if you have permission. You actually may want to even turn that off to show some reviews. So, for
That's
instance,
what I'll do. Yes.
there were some questions. Oh, does this mean, Chat GPT 5 is looking at all my data now that it's there in the program? Absolutely not. It will only if
No.
you give it permission. So we've got an n-tiered permission structure that's fantastic. So you can just give it permission to create thoughts. You can just give it permission to look at a certain area, and that's all done. It's sort of it's something that you literally a lot of people like to shut it off because it will. Do I have permission to do this? Do I have permission? But that being said, I know a lot of you do have. Confidential information. So the privacy within a brain can be respected while at the same time using it for what you need to do to build new thoughts. So we
So
can
here you
send a
can
little bit
see,
more. We'll talk a little bit more about this as the release comes out. But there were so many questions on that I thought we should just pause for a second and
of
talk a little bit
course,
about
absolutely.
privacy and permission.
And here you can see where it says always allow. That's what I have mine set to always allow. So when I tell it write a note, it's going to write a note. When I tell it like show me blah blah blah, it's going to look through my entire brain database and show me all thoughts that match whatever criteria I'm asking about it. If I'm looking to merge thoughts or what have you. So you can certainly set up your own if you want the brain to ask you to tell you first the answer, now do you want me to go and do that? Change, modify that thought, delete content, rename it, and so forth. And if I go all the way down to manage, you can see this is where, or if you click on the gear icon in the Brain 15 and go to AI, you can see as Shelley guessed and guessed correctly, I've got all of mine
Yeah.
turned on. I am
Mine are all
perfectly happy.
on, off. No, I should say I have my permission structure intact. But it's also, it does, because it will literally ask you even to, do I have permission to do what you do to add the tags? That's nice as well because you get this meta conversation happening with your AI agent where you can actually strategize on building the full brain and have a full conversation before it builds like a single
That's right.
thought. So
Yeah.
Matt's doing it in the iterative fashion where yes, I add, and that's great. But I did my other brain that I threw up for you guys earlier, the personal productivity brain. I actually had a big chat on what I was going to do with the agent, and then it just went boom, and I did it. So there, and we're going to get into this as the software gets released.
That's right.
There's
That's right.
different methodologies for using the AI agent as well. You can do it iteratively, or you can just be like, I'm going to build it all theoretically and then hit
Yeah.
go. So there's a lot to unpack here, and this is
So for
just
each
the
of these
first
features,
of
you can go
yeah.
through if it's important to you and specify whether you want it to ask, allow, or not let it. I don't ever want AI to delete data out of my brain. Okay,
Or
let's
look at
go to
specific
the
data as
setting for
well. We have
delete and block that setting. So it's completely up to you, very highly adjustable. And also, this brings me to another area that I did want to share with you, the AI scripts. You can have buttons ready to go. I saw Shelly had the Learning Path Creator enabled for her shortcut. I have modified a shortcut. I love this explain like I'm five. And then I've got explain like I'm five customized. So it's my customized version. And what I'm basically saying is if something comes up where you don't know which I want, like if you type in the word apple, are you talking about apple the fruit or apple the company? I don't want it to ask. I want it to take its best guess. So I have modified what I want my script to do. Looking at the active thought, I want it to, follow these instructions. And I've set this up in my, I'll do this again really quickly, user in my toolbars. Here's where we can adjust our toolbars and decide what features are available where. So we can add new commands under all these different topics. And here are all the different AI scripts. And there's my customized. I already have that on my side toolbar. So I'm giving you sort of some behind the scenes views of features in 15. There it is. And so now I've got my new thought, Cedar National River National Grassline. And if I click on my customized um, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. Don't ask me follow-up questions. Just put it right into the note. That's what those instructions do. And it's telling you, how it's going to create that for you and write in the notes for you. So again, you can really have a lot of fun with these settings. Start a new chat at any time. Pop that out into its own floating window. Let me get to back to this thought. There we go. So we can pop it out into its own floating window or back in and minimize at any time. So a lot to do in the AI. Those are sort of the high level features that we wanted to share with you with the AI's capabilities. What you do with it is completely up to you. And again, if you have further questions in the future, send them into support@thebrain.com and we're happy to hear from you. So
And real quick
Shelley,
on terms of
yeah.
AI, just a couple more things. Somebody was asking if they still need their subscription to Anthropic. We will leave that to you. We will bring the different models to you right now, ChatGPT and Anthropic. We are possibly talking about others. And Dan, hey Dan, Rasmus had a question about working with local agents as well. And yes, there is a setting for you to put in your own local AI and integrate that with the brain also. So we can actually connect to local LMs, and a lot of companies will like to do that behind their server, or if you know, because we have the disconnected mode where you don't need to go to the server, the client version, you can theoretically hook up our client version to your own private AI agent and utilize that one as well. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of different levels to this that we're really just scratching the surface on today. But most of the questions, and I love having this type of conversation, are going to be, yeah, we can do that. And then just back to privacy. I know that's super important. So if you are using the AI in a particular brain, what you want to do in that brain is mark your thoughts as private, and then AI will stay away from that in that brain. So that's the other way to go in terms of it
Yeah.
not reading stuff you like. And we'll be publishing a lot more. We're sort of in sandbox arena here where we're kind of playing and testing. And I actually love all the feedback and the questions because it's actually telling us what to do in terms of educating you all when we do the official release. So great. But I just wanted to throw out the stuff about make sure that
Yeah.
everyone's aware that yes, you can plug and play local LMs into the system, as well as privacy and permissioning is very important, and we want to maintain that, and that will be um, worked out. It's worked out very nicely in 15, and we're going to continue to evolve that and keep you guys posted on that as well.
And I'll share also that the AI functionality in the brain, just like with version 14, you have to have a subscription with synchronization services in order to enable that AI button for it to work. So, pro combo license or a monthly or annual subscription license, and the AI functionality will be there for you.
Right, because he has to go out to the internet to
Yeah,
connect to the LM, unless you're using local, and that's another conversation.
yeah.
We'll save that for another day. Okay, sorry, Matt, go ahead and go back to your. There's a lot of stuff coming in, and it's all good. All good
Yeah,
questions.
great. And no, that was everything that I wanted to cover in unless you wanted to see something specifically. the new features that I wanted to share of the Brain 15. But the Brain 15 is out there for you to start testing and playing with. So you can go to our download page, download your own copy of the Brain 15, and start playing around with some of the features. And I highly recommend, I always recommend that people have sort of a sandbox brain. They create a brain database where you start testing all the new features that you're interested in, rather than in your, primary brain. But that's completely up to you. As you can see, my brain is open right now. Well, maybe you can't see. This is my personal brain that I get into on a daily basis, and I've already used that AI to troubleshoot some problems in my car. And once it told me what was going wrong, I had it create individual thoughts for the different possibilities, step one, two, and three. Absolutely mind-boggling. It saved me a ton of time and a ton of research being able to do it in the brain. So I encourage you to download the Brain 15 and see all the new features for yourself. And with that, it's time for Q&A if
Okay,
we've got any
official
other
Q&A.
questions.
We
Yeah,
do have a
official.
lot of questions.
Yeah.
So we'll get started. In fact, so many that feel free to scan in case I've missed some important ones. But I'm going to start off with actually some basic questions that popped up from a couple users about the one brain to rule them all
Hmm.
versus many. So we get this question a lot. Should I create one master brain of everything, or should I do separate, unique brains? And you actually have the capability to do both. So in terms of the one brain for it all, there's no limit to what you can create in terms of number of thoughts or ideas. So a lot of users do like to do that. The advantage there is you can quickly shift within that single brain to activate thoughts. But that being said, especially now, if you're using AI for one brain and have a lot of private thoughts in another brain, you can create separate brains. Those brains can be merged, and we also have the search that it will extend across all brains. And that is our own proprietary search. So, obviously, just to clarify, when we are searching, we're using our own proprietary search. That isn't AI, and that is a private search, but it will go through all your brains to find what you need.
And that brings me to a good point as well. I discussed this with some of the engineers last night and promised that I would share this information in today's webinar as well. The Brain 15 is faster than any other version of the Brain that we've ever released. Under the hood, it is absolutely streamlined. Hopefully, you noticed, like when I did a search, it found instances of biology in 121 different locations, in other brain databases. So if I'm not in the right brain looking for the thought on biology or a note that contains the word biology, I can just click and scroll through this list and say, ah, yes, here it is. It's in my 2026 brain. So I can jump over to a separate brain very, very quickly, that searches, like I said, lightning fast. And if you're like me and you've got a lot of different brain databases, which I certainly do, in the Brain 14, when I would click to open up my brain list, it would take a minute. Here we've got the drop down menu, so I can quickly go to, if I know specifically the brain I'm looking for, I can get there. And if I do want to open up my brain list, it opens in maybe less than a second. I've got access to, I have well over 100 different brain databases now, more than I actually need, but I can get to them, search them, and navigate through them incredibly quickly. Like I said, quicker than any other release version of the brain in the past.
All right. And Charles is asking, can you use, and I actually don't even know the answer. If it's not yet, yes, now it will be in the future, but I'm going to throw it out. Charles is asking, can you use AI to merge and organize thoughts from two different brains?
Ah, from two different brains.
I'm
No,
going to take that
that
back.
was the
I think we
curveball at the
might be
end.
able to in the future. So I'm going to say pending. I'm going to say pending to that. Again, these are our hot seats. We
Yeah.
normally go a little bit more prepared on these demos, but you know what? It's new year.
Yeah.
2026, no
In
comments
existing
on.
brain, you
We're
certainly can.
flying.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot that we are evolving. So literally, the AI features kind of evolve every day. Every time I go into the office, there's something new. I will take that one back to development.
Yeah.
Having AI reorganize thoughts to consolidate same or similar thoughts for better organization as a follow-up question. Yes, that is something we can do with the
Absolutely.
AI.
Yeah, you can run a report on duplicate thoughts, or if you want, you can just open up AI. Can you, I know that I do. So show me a list of all duplicate
No, you can
thoughts.
ask it to organize this section better. We don't even have to get
Oh,
into the
sh
old language. It can be, you can give it like really lame, basic, and I love being sort of a lazy thinker when I use AI. You can just be like, I don't like this, redo it. Just, how you talk to Anthropic or Chat GPT, and it will do that. It will,
yeah,
you hopefully will get your little permission
sure,
note
sure.
that will say, do you want me to change these things or not? But yeah, you can ask it very general questions and it will, it'll let you know what it thinks can be changed. So that sort of extra input on how to organize things is there. I don't know if you want to actually do that in your brains that are so properly constructed, Matt. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
no, you can
Shut
certainly
your
ask it. And that's one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that you can also, that Cerebro will tell you when I can't
Yeah.
do something. To Cerebro will say, I can't do that. I don't have access. Like if you told it to change the wallpaper, I don't think it can change user settings. But it can walk you through the process when you find a wallpaper you like, and that's what it did in the earlier question. But
It
here
will be
I'm
able to change
asking it,
wallpaper.
and it's letting me know like I propose that you change to, this structure, what have you. I'm not going to change that now in this brain, but you can certainly have Cerebro sort of review your content. What is it like? What would it change? What would you do differently? And you can pick and choose then what you want it
Or
to.
you can just have it change it. That's why if you do a
Yeah,
fun topic that's just brand new and kind of just let it do its thing, that's also fun too. And you can copy and paste those thoughts back to your other brain. So there's different levels and layers for how you want to use it. You can use it within a brain. You can also, I do like the idea of your sandbox brain where you just create,
hmm
a fun topic. You really play and you really test it, and then you can kind of see what process works best for you, which mode of using the AI matches your thinking. And then back to just basic questions. Brian had a question on, can you link thoughts between brains?
Oh, you certainly can.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe we open 14 to show that. I don't even know. We need to start doing polling. I guess we'll just stay in 15. I
It's
also,
sort of the
but
same.
actually, a caveat to our business users and some of the users who still are on 14. I do want to say all the drag and drop where Matt had a few little hiccups in 15. That's all like ironclad in
Oh yeah.
14. So if you're the
Yeah.
type of user kind of like me that just wants like a rock solid build, you might want to just stay in 14 with all your major data management, all that. And then what I'm doing, I've done, all kinds of interesting topics, personal organization, current events, and played more in for my research, provoking research in 15. So you might want to think of it that way for now, because it is beta software. There will be some hiccups. It is
Yeah.
amazing functionality. So if you want to have the best of both worlds, I'd say, your main data management brain, keep that in 14 for now, work in 14, and maybe think of some, if you have a new project or some passionate interests that you want to map out and get some AI input on. That would be great. And then we actually didn't cover tree view, and we talked a little bit about card view, which I love because I've been waiting for time-based management, time-based view. We don't have too much more time to cover it. You did see that, but we also should show tree view. A couple of you had questions about alternative views beyond the Plex, and you've got
Sure.
those. You actually have a bit of those in 14, but we'll stick on the 15 theme, and we've
Yeah.
got a ton of those in 15. So let's preview tree view as
Okay.
well.
Sure. So first, let's copy one thought or link one thought between two
Oh,
separate
right. We got to answer
brains.
Brian's question.
Sure. And
There's so
that's a
many questions.
real simple.
Yeah,
If I
let's do
right
that.
click, you can see I can copy the web thought URL in version 14. Copy local thought URL is there in the drop down menu, but the drop down menu is enormous in the Brain 14. We've streamlined things, and all I need to do is hold down the shift key. And notice that it changes my options. So I can copy the local thought URL. Every thought in your brain has its own local thought URL. And then if you sync to the cloud, a web thought URL. And now I can jump to another brain. I'll just jump over to this biology brain that we created today. And I right click in the background or find the location where I want it linked and I paste. And there's that on-site study, and the brain follows its rules of opening an attachment in its native application. So if I launch this attachment, it's going to take me to the brain, of course, and it's going to take me directly to that on-site study thought. So you can definitely link between two different
Yeah, that's
thoughts
nice.
between brains.
Each thought has
Now,
its own URL.
yeah, and for the different views, tree view is sort of our new
It's like outline
streamline,
view.
like it's well, we still have outline view
Yeah,
there, but
that's true. I shouldn't say
yeah,
outline.
it's more like a
It's like
plain text, sort
directory.
of a plain text view. So this brain is called My Journey. I'll go back to the My Journey thought, and there's the content window. If I want to look at my active projects, I can expand. Utah is one of my active projects. There's Arches and my on-site study. So as you can see, a very approachable. If someone has never seen the brain and you want to sort of show an overview of a project, how things are fitting together, this is very a very linear view of the structure of your brain. And at any time, you can come back to either the card view again or the Plex view.
And
Um,
Gary is actually noting that mind map view is so much better in the
oh,
brain
it's
15 as
so
well.
much
So thank you,
better.
Gary. Okay, so Matt,
Yeah, let's
show
go
us
into
what you
mind map
got.
view. So actually, I want to share this with you as well. You can double click on the Plex to expand it or in your notes. I think notes is up here. Double click, it expands it. But we also have this button now to quickly expand the Plex. And if I go into my view,
View, yeah.
layout, I want to go into mind map view. Mind map view, I like to say that we've tightened things up.
Yeah,
Um, it
definitely.
it fits on your screen now and it adjusts to your screen size. So there I want to view my active projects. I want to view Utah. I can click and view that. If I want to see all of my travel and US travel destinations, I can expand there. Personal growth, productivity. So as you can see, I can start, really deciding if I want to get the big picture overview of how something is fitting together. And if I want to make this a little bit tighter, I can actually, go up to I'll go to my brain setting, and then I'll make my Plex font not that small. We'll try that one. That fits. So can adjust the plex size so you can see a little bit more on the screen at any one time. But as you can see, I
Nice.
can
I
just
like
start,
that.
yeah,
That looks good.
expanding what I want to see. That you'll have these little chamfers or arrows so you can decide what areas you want to expand or what areas you want to collapse. So if I want to collapse that, oh, the collapse button. See, there we go. Another version 15 thing. I can't collapse that right now. So still ironing out all the kinks, but as you can see, mind map view, yes, greatly improved. And that also applies to the outline view as well. So if I go back to view, layout, and go into um, outline view, much sleeker as well. And and yeah, I can still collapse there. That seems to be working well. So that is our outline view.
And just a reminder, this is your unofficial demo of the Brain 15. This
That's
is
right.
Matt and I geeking out and deciding I think like 3 days ago, oh, we're doing 15 for this webinar. So there will be an official Brain 15 webinar actually in February that'll be much better than this.
Oh,
But you know
yes.
what? It is what it is. Carpe diem. We're seizing the new year with a nice surprise. So as we demo 15, this is just us demoing it in an unofficial capacity. Stay tuned for more. And I love all the feedback and the questions too, because we are in rapid development mode. So, we can take a lot of this stuff back to the team.
Absolutely. Great.
Uh,
Any other questions that we think we should cover here today?
I think we covered most of them. There were a couple more questions on types and tags, the difference
Hmm.
between type and tags, and if
Great.
AI can create them for you.
Yeah, it
Yes,
certainly
they
can. Yeah.
can.
And as you hopefully you noticed, I had it create a series. I said, "Hey, what kind of types would you suggest?" And it created those. But also you can specify, like I already have some thought types and tags. If I wanted a new tag, so I've got my people tags. And if I wanted to say to AI, create a new people, a tag under my people tag for Shelly, it can create that for me. So it can make suggestions, it could take your requests. But like I said, the difference between a thought type and tag, let's just go ahead and create a new tag called urgent.
You can have multiple
Um,
tags per thought, and a thought
exactly.
type will be your overarching classification. Types are really nice to giving you that visual look and feel of a class. Like Matt did the animal kingdom. All the classes of animals would be like a type, a classic type. Tags could be like my favorite animal, this one I'm studying.
Yeah.
They're almost like data fields.
Yeah. So as you can see, like Arches, for example, when I hover out over it, Arches is a national park. That's its classification. It's never going to be a national, well, it might, who knows, national grassland, or it might be a state park in the future. Who knows what the future holds, but I can always change it. It's a national park. And as you can see, I have national monuments as well specified and versus national parks and so forth. And then there's different types of geology, slick rock versus glacial and so forth. So those are my thought types, but my thought tags. So I've got an on-site study coming up. Um, I have my hints turned off right now, so when I mouse over, I don't see the hint. But I can click on the thought, and you can see all the tags displayed down below. It's one of my favorites. Doing an on-site study at Arches, it's urgent, and Cindy is sort of the captain of this project. If I'm in a team environment, I can tag people that are handling different accounts. And if that changes to Shelly in the future, I can just remove Cindy from being the manager and add a new tag for Shelly or what have
I'm good
you.
with it being Cindy. It's fine.
Okay, we'll let Cindy stay
Yeah, let's let Cindy
captain.
handle
And
it.
as you can see,
Okay.
I can go to my favorite and then find all thoughts that are tagged as being something of my favorites. And it's not always a national park or a project. Sometimes it's a product or a person or an activity or a restaurant. So they would all be dispersed throughout this very large brain. What do they have in common? They're all one of my favorite things in that category, whatever that is. So tags, I like to say, are attributes to a thought, whereas a thought type is a classification of a thought. And someone also asked about labels. I use
Okay.
labels quite often for just additional information about the thought that you don't want in the thought name. So on-site study, my label might be this will be a geology field trip for all senior students. Now, I don't want all of that information. on the thought name, but when I mouse over, I'm just reminded this is the geology field trip for seniors, as opposed to going to uh, New York to see something at Carnegie Hall as all the music majors that are going to be doing that activity or what have you. So just additional context, additional information. I sometimes use that thought title for acronyms as well. Um, for a particular project that I'm working on and so forth. We've got code names for different features, just like Cerebro is now Cerebro. But before it was like, what should we call the new AI? So I've got a thought in my research brain for the brain technologies called AI, and its code name for a while was Cerebro. Now Cerebro is the name of sort of our AI agent, so to speak. So it's really a personal choice how you choose to use those labels, thought tags, and thought types, and you can always go back and modify it anytime.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end. One final question from George. It's just a good traditional where the data is stored. George is asking, can your data be stored locally as well as the cloud? So just to step back, yeah, we have the client software and we also have the desktop software. So if you only want to keep your data local, you can do that with the desktop software. Of course, you can synchronize it to the cloud. And conversely, if you don't want local data and you can only operate in the cloud, you could keep it all in the cloud. So you can actually decide, usually a combination. But yeah, when you have that client software, it does store your information locally, and then you will use sync to synchronize across different
Hmm.
devices or to back it up. So that's the way the data storage works as it stands
Yeah.
today.
You saw earlier I brought this PDF into the brain. That's a setting in my brain. When I drag and drop, I move a file internally into the brain by default. So it was on my desktop. I clicked and dragged, moved it into the brain. If I need to see the containing folder for a thought, with a pro license user license of the software, you can have multiple attachments on a single thought. If you just need to see those in your Finder on a Mac or Windows Explorer, I can click on the folder icon or right click on a thought and select to open the thought folder. And it is going to, I think it opened it in the background. There it is. It opens the thought folder for that thought. So that's where all your notes will be, graphics on the note will be inside this data folder, and file attachments and so forth will be located there.
All right. And I do want to let you know that we have the Brain 101 next Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will cover whatever build the users happen to be. So we are running into overtime. We're going to have to end today's session. But if you want to join us for the Brain 101 next Friday, Matt's hosting. You can sign up for that class. And of course, we offer free technical support to all users. So feel free to chat in with us or write in on our discussion boards or our live web chat or email support. And I think with that, we're going to end today's session today. Thank you for everyone for all the questions. And sorry we didn't get to everything due to the volume of questions and attendees, but we will have support reach out to you if there's anything in the chat that really needs to be covered. And feel free to reach out proactively to us and join us for the 101, not this Friday, but next Friday, February 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And Matt, any final words of wisdom before we close today's session?
Let us know what you think about the Brain 15. Once you try it out, download it from our website, send us a note, support at thebrain.com. We're happy to hear from you.
All right, and with that, happy new year, happy new brain. We look forward to forging even more new features and taking your brain to the next level in 2026. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we hope to see you again. And stay tuned again, official Brain 15 webinar happening. This was not it. This was us going and venturing into new territory and having fun with all of you. And we appreciate the iterative process with all our users. So thank you for that. And stay tuned. There's a lot more to come.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.